everyone, welcome back. On this week's vlog, I'm going to be showing you how to create a postcard like this. This is a watercolour postcard, which is available in most craft shops. I used a pencil and a black fine liner. Now, if we bring that closer, you can see it's a flower postcard with lots of different textures. So for this craft, you're going to need to grab yourself some sort of postcard or a piece of paper that's cut to a postcard shape, pencil, black fine liner, and a rubber. You may need a ruler as well, just for some drawing. But stay tuned to find out how I created this. Today, I'm going to show you how to do a postcard like this. So I started this with a line drawing with pencil, and then I've been back over it with a black felt pen. Sometimes I use Sharpies. Today I'm going to be using pens by Crawford & Black, which are quite good. They come in a variety of different tip sizes. So this one is 0.8, and then I've got a 2mm one as well. All sorts in that packet. But I thought we'd have a go at doing this together. As you can see from my pencil drawing, it's quite messy. And a lot of the detail of this one is missing because I don't add that till afterwards, and I don't feel I need to draw it in. But we're going to have to tidy up the pencil drawing so that we can make it look neat. After I finish the ink work, I tend to go over the entire thing with a rubber and just remove the pencil lines. So always have a good quality rubber and a light pencil. Anyway, here we go. So I'm going to start by just filling in this flower here. Maybe just put a little bit of a centre in there. The great thing about working with pen over the top of a line drawing is that if something isn't correct or has gone wrong or doesn't look right, you can change it. And once you've got the black ink on, it looks quite neat. I do like the fact I get a second chance to make corrections. So here I've got a bit of a gap there, so I'm just going to fill that in. And notice the way as well I keep turning the page. So I'm not moving my hand around and twisting it to get the same type of mark each time. I'm moving the postcard to match what I'm doing on the page. I've made a bit of a mistake. There's a line that's gone through, but that doesn't matter. We can change that. The important thing is to always add texture. So here I'm going to add in some little tiny dots to give it some texture. Just going to lift that up so you can see it. And then here I'm going to add some lines into the petals. And again, that gives it texture. I'm going to keep turning the page. Doesn't matter if the line is wobbly or small, it all adds into the final look. Good. Okay, so that's a good start there. Now let's move on to this one here. I'm just going to hold that up so you can see it. Bit of a strange flower, this one. I'm not sure if that's finished. Sometimes I add detail after I finish drawing. So I'm just going to mark in these petals. Being careful not to smudge what you've done on a previous flower. Now this one had a spiral right in the middle. Bit wobbly, but it'll do. And then on the petal, let's add some embellishments in. So I'm going to do a little tiny sort of arrow shape at the end. And then I'm just going to pop in some little circles towards the base of the petal. So if I hold that up now, you can see the difference there. The more little details you add, the more realistic it looks. And it doesn't necessarily need to be something realistic. It can be quite fantasy-like because it all adds to the effect of the overall picture. Let's have a go now at doing this leaf pattern here. And I've got a tiny little flower I've just filled in there. And then I'm going to pop some dots in the middle of that so it looks like a little flower with pollen and seeds in the middle. With the little flowers, you can add detail. You need to be careful not to overfill them, otherwise they just look like a black smudge on the page. So I'm going to come back to that in a minute. Now let's tackle one of these bigger flowers here, I think. Now you'll see I've overlapped these two flowers here. So one of them is going to have to win because they can't both win. So I'm going to make this one the main flower. I'm going to pop a circle in the middle first. Do a little spiral. Doesn't need to be finished. And then I'm just going to go over the top of these petals. The nice thing about flowers is you can be creative as you like and come up with your own shapes, because nature is quite bold with shapes, so you don't always need to be conventional. There we go. And then we're going to add some more detail in. Because there's no colour on this, you will need to add detail so there's texture and depth to what you're doing. Otherwise it is just a group of flat shapes. And we want it to be a bit more interesting than that. I'm also going to put a little squiggle that goes right through. It doesn't necessarily need to be connecting to each flower accurately, because they don't in nature. There we go, and I just pop in some leaves. Now, that leaves us one big flower. So there we go so far. So here, I'm going to be very careful where I put that line in, not to cross it. So let's start with this bit first. Let's pop in that circle. I'm going to think about the texture for that circle because I'm not sure what to do with it yet. And then this one here, as you can see, just lift it up. I haven't drawn it correctly, so I'm going to have to go back and change that. So let's pop that in. And then behind it, I've just got some other little petals working behind it in a slightly different shape. And now we can add some texture. What should we do? Let's put some dots in here, in these background shapes. Just be careful not to overlay too many dots, although like here, it just bunches up and becomes one big block of colour, and we don't want that. We do want some white piping through in the background. Okay, so what else should we do to this? And in the middle here, I'm just going to do some lines. We haven't used that before, so that looks different. Just adding another texture in there. Let's just fill out some of these flowers. Again, it doesn't matter if you don't meet the pencil line. You can go back later and rub that out. Just making sure it's a bit more accurate than your pencil drawing though. And then one last little flower up here. Good. And I think we've got some more leaves to do in this corner here. And I like to just have a little line connecting them right through. Now we could have some more leaves over here, so I'm going to add one in. And then possibly around here I think we could have some. Now we can add the texture to the background. So in my one here, we've got two types of dots. We've got a circle that are drawn with white in the middle, and then actual just smaller black dots to give it a bit of variety. Put the bigger dots in first actually, and then you can put the smaller ones around it. Try to make them as random as possible so it doesn't look as though they're in a row. And immediately you start to see the flowers lift off the page because it looks different. The depth is given by the background and the different textures. Don't worry about going over any pencil marks because you can rub them out later. So I'm not going to finish that, so I can show the finished product in a minute, but if you just lift it up, you can see what it looks like. I will be back. So I've managed to fill in the background with lots of different sized dots, and now I'm going to do some rubbing out of all these pencil lines. Little warning, before you start doing the rubbing out, always make sure that the ink has dried. Otherwise, the minute you rub it out, it's going to smudge everywhere and ruin all your hard work. So do make sure that everything is dry, and then get your rubber and just go for it. The nice thing is once you've removed the pencil marks, it all becomes a bit clearer. There are some artists who leave the pencil marks in because they like to see the original sketch, and you can do that. It does add another layer of depth to your work. Just going to clean this flower up a little bit. And this one. Make sure you use a good quality rubber because it can remove the ink if you're not careful. So we need good quality pens, good quality rubber. Also helps you see if there's any areas you want to add to or tidy up. But I think that is finished. So the postcard size I used, this was by Seabright of Brighton. It's actually watercolour postcards, and they're available online, and Hobbycraft do them. And then we had the Crawford and Black pens, the fine liners, a rubber, and then also pencil. And that was it. Easy project. I hope this week's craft has been helpful. I'm looking forward to seeing your version of this in the comments below. Do post pictures of your creations. I'd love to see the variations and the different textures you've come up with. If you'd like to follow me on social media, you can find me on Instagram and Facebook and Threads at Helen Sanderson White. And then you can also like and subscribe on YouTube to get all my latest videos. Bye!